Hello, Jake Chesney here with my longtime mentor, Nelson Nash, and we're going to go ahead and go through a few of these questions, a few of these benefits of becoming the banker of your own life. Nelson Nash has been, like I said, my mentor for 20 years with this. He's the author of Becoming Your Own Banker, and who better than Nelson to answer some of these really big questions. And one that I really wanted to touch on right away is the spiritual component of becoming the banker of your own life and what that means to the individual as well as perhaps to society. So if you could touch on that, that'd be great.
It's best to consider the fact that I've been a Christian since I was 9 years old. Everything has gone through that filter first. I've also studied Austrian economics for 60 years. And so I'm looking at the Bible through the eyes of an economist as well as the eyes of a Christian. And in the second book that I wrote, Building Your Warehouse of Wealth, the last chapter is entitled Out of Egypt and On to Babylon, From Slavery to Slavery, pointing out how that God chose Abraham as an example of what he was trying to get across to people with their bent towards wanting to replace God. God created us for fellowship with him, Jake, and you can't have fellowship with a puppet, so you had to give us free will. That included the ability to reject him, and of course they expressed themselves very quickly about that sort of stuff. And so there had to be some way of getting across this message over a period of time that you're totally hopeless without God. Now, the warning there at the very beginning is that on only 3 generations after Abraham, they're done in Egypt as a result of a government handout. Pharaoh was government. And when Joseph solved the famine problem for Egypt, he became number 2 man in Egypt. Well, when Pharaoh found out that this was Joseph's family, he said, go back and get Daddy. Bring nothing. Come on down. I'm going to give you the best part of Egypt. Well, as an Austrian economist, I know full well if you ever start taking a government handout of some kind or another, you will become a slave. And they ended up being slaves for 430 years. And so that tells me something as an economist and as a Christian, that we should always make sure that we don't put our faith somewhere else. I see a very tremendous element of dependency in the act of worship, Jake. You're going to worship that on what you're dependent. And the truth is that most Americans today, they have the claim that they're Christian, but if you try to take away one of their government programs, watch what happens. They cannot visualize life without a government program of some kind. And so that's why I wrote that particular section of my book. I'm going to expand on that thing big time in the third book that I'm working on right now. It's going to be entitled, It's All About How You Think.
Well, thank you. Look forward to seeing that book. Secondly, Nelson, when I met you, I had been married for 6 months.
Yeah.
Now I've been married over 20 years, and I remember distinctly how you taught me how being the banker of your own life creates higher quality relationships, including the marital relationship. Could you expound on how that is?
Well, an example will help here. I've been doing seminars all over the United States and Canada since that time that I first met you. And I was in Los Angeles a few years ago. I worked strictly through sponsors. And the sponsor was Arkady Milgram, who's a Russian Jew. He came here in 1989 with $100 in his pocket. That's all he could bring out of Russia. he had 25 Russians there and 20 of us USA types. Now, halfway through this seminar, I'm telling the people that what a peaceful, stress-free way of life it is when you get the bankers out of your life. And a bolt of lightning hit my feeble brain about that time. I recognized that there was a lady doctor right in front of me from Russia. She was a neurologist, and I said to myself, I'm going to pick her brain right in front of everybody. I have no earthly idea what that woman's going to say. I don't know her. She doesn't know me. She's not expecting this. Doctor, what part does stress play in medical maladies? Her response, it all starts there. It all starts with stress. Then I asked the audience, tell me, in your life, in the life of your peers, what do you see as the biggest stress factor? And a chorus came back, money. Now, Ben Hayden is a pastor, I think he's still alive, up in Chattanooga. You may remember him? Change Lives is the name of his radio program. He's a couple years older than me, and I liked what he had to say so much that I used to throw money at him regularly. As a result, I would get printed sermons of his. I remember one so well that was apropos to our message here. He says, in his generation, the subject among family members that was taboo was sex. Now it's money. They can't talk to each other about money. And when you go out there and do some polling of what this is doing for people, I see a number of people saying back to me that marital relations improve dramatically when you solve the banking function out there. That the banking function has been taken over by the bankers, and they have created the worst mess of all times. Only bankers can inflate the money supply. No one else can. Now, when you warehouse your medium of exchange, money, in a place that cannot inflate, you solved a big part of the world's problems. And life insurance companies cannot inflate the money supply.
Wow, so physical health, relationship health, it all ties in together, spiritual health. Next question, how would not being your own banker cause you to be part of the problem as opposed to being your own banker, you're part of the solution in today's world?
Well, the scriptures teach us that you should be in this world but not of this world. You're warned time and time again, play their game and you're one of them. And so if you have a loan at a bank of any kind, any type, you're part of the problem. Now, if you remove that one part, yours, your life changes immediately, and that's peaceful, and you could care less what the rest of those folks are doing. But to get this taught to enough people out there, and people will catch on, and it will become viral, but that's going to take a long time because mankind is a slow learner. That's all there is to it. Consider the fact that the Old Testament covers 4,000 years, and it's all a pattern of top-down thinking. Got to have a leader here to tell us what to do and how to do it, etc. Now, there's glimmers of hope there that come along, no question about that, but the overall behavior is top-down thinking. Well, just consider the fact that after that 4,000 years, there's 400 years of silence between the Old Testament and the New Testament. Nothing was written that was apropos to the general message of the Bible. But most folks don't recognize the fact that the New Testament covers less than 100 years. And the message was bottom up, not top down. There's nowhere in the New Testament where Jesus Christ is advocating that you organize your government to take care of your physical and spiritual and your physical needs. None.
Well, speaking of long term, this is my final question for today. Can you speak on legacy and how adopting this way of life goes beyond yourself and it goes to your children and your great grandchildren? I know you just had your 7th or 8th grandchild, and why you're excited about the legacy that you can live by adopting this process.
Well, you know, from your understanding of my past history, that when I put all this together, I was doing things the way the world does it, and that is wrong. I was using other people's money, they say. I got caught owing $500,000 at 23% interest back in 1980 and 81 in real estate deals. Well, I was working through partnerships with people. I always felt more comfortable having someone else involved in the partnership. Well, here was one of those projects that you just can't possibly lose money on. But one of our investors was a big name lawyer here in our city, and he bankrupted on us. Well, we had to bail him out. Well, that cost me another $300,000, so that's $800,000 back to back at that 23% interest rate. And I saw that I was doing things wrong. If during that time I could get the money at 5, 6, and 8% interest from 3 different life insurance companies, but I had not paid anywhere near the premium that I should be paying in order to be able to get all that kind of money. Well, I started buying policies as fast as I could do so, and when their loan values became significant, I would borrow and pay off the banks. Well, it took me 13 years to get rid of the banks. I had swapped debt from them to a place where I controlled, and then I paid off all the policy loans. Well, Mary and I have not seen a bank in 24 years now. And that is a very peaceful, stress-free way of life. It changes life totally. Now, I saw also the value of teaching this to our children and grandchildren. We have three children, and they've caught on this big time. Well, we had 10 grandchildren. Every time a grandchild was born, we'd crank up a significant policy, and each of my children would match that. Well, when great-grandchildren came along, we did the same thing. And so I'm going to North Carolina to see the new grandbaby that was just born 10 days ago, and got to buy a policy. My son-in-law's got to buy a policy, and his son has got to buy a policy on this kid. Well, there's another one coming in June, and so the same process has got to take place. Well, this provides the wherewithal, the means of getting it done, but the most important factor is getting the message across about how to handle it. I learned a long time ago in my other world, my forestry world. I'm educated as a forester. I had pioneered the technique of clearing land with heavy equipment, Caterpillar tractors, for tree growing purposes. And I learned the hard way that if you put a tool in the hand of an incompetent, not only does he not turn out any work, he'll break the tool. A Caterpillar tractor looks indestructible. Well, put an operator on that seat of that tractor and he will make you money because he knows how to operate it. But if you put a tractor driver up there, he'll break your tractor.
Well, Nelson, the legacy you're leaving with your family, also is amazing, obviously, but also we appreciate you for giving us this legacy of knowledge, and for all those that are listening and looking to implement this. I know we appreciate you so much. So one more time, Nelson Nash, Becoming Your Own Banker, Legacy. I encourage you to get his books. He has 2 out and 1 more coming. And thank you.